Hey everybody, Greg here, and today is Tuesday, August 29th, 2017, and this is a short video about purchasing printers, what printer to purchase. It's a question I get from time to time, and I thought, hey, why not create a video, answer some of the common questions that people have. So basically, as you probably know, printers fall into two, or you might say three categories. They're inkjet printers, they're laser printers, and then there's solid ink printers. Those are not as common, and so I won't really talk about those much other than to say that they are kind of nice. They'll print to the paper and create kind of a waxy waterproof finish on the areas that have been printed to. So, but anyway, when we look at, laser printers versus inkjet printers, in the past, the thinking was, well, why don't I get a laser printer? Because they're fast and they're inexpensive to use, because the toner does not dry up. It's already dry, so toner in a laser printer can go for a long time. Well, inkjet printers have come a long way, so the cost has dropped considerably. Some would say below the cost of laser printing. Inkjet printers are now fast, in some cases faster than laser printers, and they certainly use less power. The technology behind a laser printer is that you want to heat up the printing process so that the dust, the powder that's the toner, will fuse to the page. And in doing so, that takes a lot of amps generally. So inkjet printers now are becoming more and more attractive, I think, and as an option. If you're somebody who only prints in black ink and you want to get like a $70 laser printer, there's some good ones out there. Brother is a brand that's pretty good, and your toner refills might cost, maybe $80, $100, something like that, depending on the printer, and they hold up pretty well. So, for people that have those narrow, specific printing needs, it might be a good solution. But if you're somebody who may occasionally want to print using color ink, well then, going to a laser printer would require that you get a color laser printer, which uses multiple toner cartridges. And the ones that I'm familiar with, they use black and then 3 color cartridges. So you're not going to get the kind of photorealism that you would have if you had, say, 5 cartridges of ink in a photo inkjet printer with photo paper. So basically anybody looking at quality color printing is going to want to go with the inkjet. What often happens is people go to the store and they think, hey, I'm just going to get the cheapest printer possible. Well, quite often, the cheapest things in life end up being the most expensive things in life. So, if you get some cheap inkjet printer, the ink cartridges may end up costing you quite a bit more. Smaller, low-cost inkjet printers often use small ink cartridges, and they sometimes aren't sealed as well, so even if you're not using your printer much, the heads might dry up, or the ink cartridges might dry out, and then you'll have to purchase more, and it just gets expensive. I mean, if it's $30 per cartridge, you're looking at possibly $100 every time you refill the ink. So that's why I recommend that when you go to get a printer, you consider getting a nicer printer, paying a little more at the time of purchase, but very likely saving much more in the long run. I normally go with HP printers. I like Canon, Epson, there are other good brands out there. I'm just familiar with and comfortable with HP. In the past, I've worked with particularly Canon printers that have a rear paper feed, and that's sometimes nice for thicker cardstock, where a traditional paper feed mechanism with lots of rollers and flipping back and forth inside the printer cardstock is going to get jammed in there, right? Most likely. So, you know, if you're thinking about printing heavy cardstock, maybe look at getting a Canon or an Epson or something that has the rear feed. The problem with the rear feed printers, though, is that those, if you put regular paper in them, sometimes the paper just sort of sits there and then starts to curl. You know, it's not sitting flat in a tray, it's just sitting on the back of the printer. So that's a drawback. So what I normally do then is I go with HP printers, and there's a particular product line from HP that I have been using for years and years, and it's their OfficeJet series of printers, OfficeJet Pro. So what you get with the OfficeJet Pro are some really nice high capacity XL ink cartridges that are available for these OfficeJet Pro printers. And if you get the next model up that's like $100 more, there's usually a model that has, you know, 2 paper trays, and it has a legal size scanning bed, which is important if you're scanning, you know, odd size books, receipts, newspaper, clippings. You know, there's a lot of stuff that's bigger than an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper that you might want to scan. And so that if you look, you'll check out these printers and you'll see the multifunction printers, the ones with scanners. Most of them just have an 8.5 by 11 sheet size scanning bed. Now, beware, on the box it'll say this printer multifunction device can scan legal size pages. Well, what they're referring to is feeding something through the document feeder on top. So that's not what you want, because if you have a receipt and you try to feed it through that document feeder, it's just going to get jammed up inside there. So really you want to be scanning on the flatbed for odd size items, and that legal size flat scanning bed really helps. So and then the other thing I would say is, you know, the OfficeJet Pro series offers, as I mentioned before, these high capacity printing ink cartridges. And so those might cost you $30 each, but they really last a long time. And to give you an idea, I bought the last time I went to get an OfficeJet Pro, it came with that starter ink, right? And they say, oh, you can print a few hundred pages. Actually, just like a month ago, replaced that. So I'd had it for over a year and just replaced the starter ink. So that gives you an idea of how effective that printer is. I'm not printing a lot, but it didn't dry out on me. It didn't unnecessarily use up a bunch of ink for cleaning the print heads. So, you know, all in all, I've probably saved hundreds of dollars just by getting that HP OfficeJet Pro inkjet printer. And the other thing I'll mention that you're going to encounter when you go to purchase one of these HP printers is with regard to their automatic ink replenishment program. The promise of this program is that they're saying, well, you're going to get ink cheaper and you won't run out of ink and forget to go to the store. Okay, that sounds kind of cool. So basically they monitor from HP headquarters. They monitor what you're printing. They can turn off your printer. For example, if you try to you know, put some ink in the printer that they don't like, that they don't authorize, that's not purchased from HP, or if you're in a pinch and you run out of ink and for some reason, like you have some huge print job and much more than you'd anticipated for your monthly allotment, and so now you're out of ink and you need ink right away, you can't go to the store and get this stuff. It has to be shipped from HP. So the other thing is, if you're consistently printing, you know, way under, they do have an overflow. Like, let's say you had 50 pages left for the month and it forwards to the next month. But in general, if you just keep printing under or keep printing over the allotted amount, you're going to end up paying more than their promised, you know, low cost. So there's just a bunch of issues with the HP ink replenishment program. Great concept in theory, you know, that your ink would just arrive at the door automatically whenever you need it. That's kind of neat. But you can always just, you know, when you see it getting low, order some from Amazon or go to a local store, you know, Staples or Best Buy or whatever store where you can get your ink. I think that's a better way to go. So anyway, that's basically it on printers. And then again, you know, if you have some specialty needs like photo printing or like I said, cardstock printing, or just lots of black and white printing, you can look at these other options. But for most people, for most people's printing needs, I would say an HP OfficeJet printer works great. One drawback I'll mention is that these printers are pretty big. They're pretty sizable because they have multiple trays usually, and the legal size scanning bed makes it bigger. So if you're really tight on space and you need a printer and you don't print that much, then you might want to look at one of these portable printers, or, you know, some smaller form factor printer, maybe even something that could be put up on a bookshelf and then, you know, print whenever you need or scan whenever you need. So anyway, I hope that's helpful. Let me know if you have any questions, comments, suggestions. Always appreciate those. And have a great day.